May 22nd, 2011. How did this day begin for you two?
My little brother, he had came over for this is the day before. So we woke up the morning of the 22nd. I was still in freaking labor, man.
Dear Lord.
I was in labor for like a total of like 18, 19 hours. And that morning...
It was a little bit of a blur for me.
Yeah.
For her being up all night, in and out of sleep, in pain, trying to push that damn baby out. His head was crowned, wasn't it?
No, I got all the way to 9 centimeters.
Oh yeah, almost there too.
And
Yep.
The epidural stopped working, so I was in a lot of freaking pain. So that's why it's like iffy for me. I remember, so he was born at like 8:21 in the morning. I can't remember where in the timeline they decided to do a C-section. He had pooped inside of me, so
That's true.
at like hour 18 or so, 17 or 18, they decided to do the C-section because they were worried about that.
Felt like a perfect morning. Everything was going great besides the fact that the baby had pooped in a sack and or in her sack. Your sack is sack.
The placenta.
The placenta.
My sibling had graduated that day, and then my younger sister was playing in the band at the ceremony. So they all left, I don't know, I want to say around 3 o'clock. That's just a guesstimate, I think.
Congratulations, Skinny!
Yeah.
To get ready for all of that, and then me and him watched my sibling walk across the stage.
Silly Max, shout
on
out.
the TV in
Which
the
is
hospital.
pretty cool. It was awesome. It felt like just like the most wonderful day.
Beautiful. Up until that point.
Up until that point, about 5:35. Yeah. Up until that point. Next question, please.
You were in labor for 18 hours. You were also 16 and pregnant. You are a true example of an OG 16 and pregnant mother.
Yeah.
Did you ever consider going on the show?
Oh yeah, I would have loved it. And MTV, y'all would have had a hit, man.
Yeah, they would have.
Lord. That'd been crazy. That'd been
Sorry,
cool,
stressed out.
It would made of a hell of an episode on MTV, if you ask me. But media attention can be a crazy thing. It's understandable why you didn't want to be on the show.
I definitely did want to be on the show.
There you two were, parents of a beautiful baby boy. How were you feeling? What emotions were you feeling? And did you ever think later on that day you would experience what you would have experienced?
Not at all. Never, not in a million years. When I had to think about my life on the line and my newborn baby or my wife's life on the line at all. Never thought that day would ever occur, especially on the day that my son was born. Yeah. Not one in a million chance I ever thought that would ever even happen. It was supposed to be a perfect day. Every child's birth is supposed to be a perfect day.
Yeah.
But for some reason, we didn't get that opportunity.
Mom, 18 hours of labor to end in a C-section must have been a dreadful day for you, huh?
Yeah, it was horrible. I had actually went into labor the day before, the 21st. My water broke, so we went to the hospital. I decided to get the epidural at like 4 centimeters.
Yeah.
4 centimeters.
You're like halfway. I think they said.
Yeah, 5 would have been.
He was trying to push it. He was trying to go all the way without no medication.
Yeah, but that didn't fucking work out. Sorry for the language, but that did not work out, and it hurt really, really bad. I was at 16. I was nowhere near ready to experience that kind of pain. It hurt. So yeah, I took the epidural, but it was no good. They had me moving a bunch with, any moms, they want you to move a lot because I guess it like speeds up the process. So, they flip you around. And in the process of doing that, the epidural, like, came out. So I was only receiving, like, half of the medicine and not all of it. So I was still able to feel the contractions, and the doctors weren't listening. But it sucked. It was really disappointing, especially as life went on and we started to have more children. And in the area we were in, they wouldn't allow, like, VBAC. So that wasn't an option for us. And it was all around a big bummer to have to do the C-section the first time around.
See, Mom?
Yeah.
I can only imagine.
Didn't
I felt it. You squeezed my hand tightly thousands of times.
Didn't they, like, do the epidural wrong, too?
Yeah.
Like, they had to do it multiple times.
Oh, yeah. When they had finally got me back to the C-section and they were trying to do the spinal tap, they had to poke me like 4 or 5 times because they couldn't get it in. And I'll never forget, I was sitting there moaning through the contractions, and the nurse that was, like, holding me steady, she was like, "What's wrong?" I can still feel all of these contractions, every single one of them. So, that sucked.
I felt that.
Yeah.
That would hurt.
I ended up having to go all the way to sleep because they couldn't get the spinal tap to stick.
And, Dad, how did you feel that morning when you got to hold your son for the first time, and also going through them 18 hours of labor with your wife?
I mean, for being completely honest, and every dad's gonna be completely honest with their first time. It was hard to stay up, of course. I wasn't used to staying up late. I wasn't used to staying up that late at the time. I mean, if back in the day now, like, I would have been able to stay up, but no. I kept falling asleep, but I kept waking up though when she asked me to. She get a little frustrated. I tried to calm her down, rub her back, help her with her breathing. It was fun. It was tiring. I could see the pain. I can hear the pain in her voice. And when she finally actually went to sleep, once the epidural started kicking in, it was, I knew everything was going to be better. She was feeling better, and she wasn't in pain no more. So I started to feel better, and I actually fell asleep. But then getting woken up by her screaming and stuff, saying, "Take my hand," trying to get this baby out. But he just had the biggest head in the world.
He did.
But when I held him in the morning the first time, it was the best feeling I ever had in the world.
I think your viewers are ready. Tell us, what transpired 10 hours after your child was born?
Oh, God.
Here's a live picture. That is a regional hospital there. You see Mike Bettis in the picture there. Look, those used to be homes there. They are gone. There used to be, this time of the year, full canopy on these trees. The leaves are gone. And that truck definitely demolished there. It is just, this is raw video coming in live as we speak with our great tornado hunt. And Mike, tell me, what type of damage, what used to be there? You can't even tell what was there on the ground.
This is just, Paul, I've never seen a scene like this before. We just rolled up on this tornado, came through maybe 45 minutes ago. I've personally witnessed injuries and fatalities here, unfortunately, in Joplin. We're just going through the neighborhood here trying to figure out if anyone else needs help. People are just scrambling right now. I want you to kind of take a scope of the damage, just kind of taking my breath away here. Multiple homes, businesses destroyed, cars that have been flipped, mangled debris everywhere you look. People are trying to just help people out any way they can. People being pulled out of buildings here this evening as well. We've come across many people. They need help. They need to get as much help in this area as possible. I think they're going to be overwhelmed with the amount of damage, the amount of injuries and fatalities they have here. They need help in Joplin as soon as they can possibly get it, Paul. I'm just not even sure where to begin. We're just kind of walking.
So it all started really weird.
It sure did.
It felt like minutes, like seconds, like from the time that we watched Max walk across the stage to the point where we were being pushed in the hallway. Like, I don't ever remember hearing tornado sirens.
Nothing until we got into the hallway.
Yeah. There wasn't like any like thunderstorm warnings or anything like that along the TV. It was crazy.
It happened out of nowhere, I feel like.
Yeah.
It just... Okay, so we were sitting there, like my wife said, watching the graduation. The graduation was over.
We had called my mom, too, to ask...
pick up some food for us.
Yeah, we had wanted her to grab us some Taco Bell, and that's where we thought they were going, and they were coming back from Taco Bell.
Right. We thought that he took your mom's car.
Mm-hmm. And
So okay, we didn't hear anything.
mm-mm.
This is this part you need to pay attention to. This is the part that really kicks into the butt for our story here. Our room, her bed, had no what, Rosa?
There was no locks on the wheels.
There was no locks
On the hospital bed.
on the hospital bed wheels. That thing was always rolling around. Bumped it, it moved.
Yeah.
Our room door,
It wouldn't shut.
it would not shut.
Like the latch part of it.
It
like
kept
that.
opening up. They had
Yeah.
they had to force it closed. We had to put something in front of it to keep it closed, or we kept it open.
Yeah. Yeah, and the way the like labor and delivery unit was laid out, it was all like in a square. It was a big square, and then like the nurse's station was in the middle, and we were
In the corner.
in the corner. And the nurse came in and was like, "All right, well, you guys don't worry, but there's a tornado warning, so we've got to go in the hall." So she wheeled us in the hallway. We were just hanging out there. It felt for like a couple of minutes. We were just hanging out there, and then all of a sudden, it got really dark. Really dark. You could hear it coming.
Yeah, you can just feel it too.
You could feel it, like
You
the
can
pressure
feel it.
around the hospital. Like my ears were popping and things.
It felt
And then the
as-
wind started to pick up, and you could hear that too. It sounded like howling, almost.
The whole tornado experience, I felt like forever.
It did. It felt like it
Felt
lasted
so
forever.
long.
The wind started picking up, so the windows started breaking, and at that point, the nurse, our charge nurse, was in front of our door, and she had to hold it shut with all of her might. I'll never forget, like right before the power went out, I could see her struggling with the door, like trying to keep it closed.
Here's the ticket. We was rolled out into the room, or into the hallway. We
And
can
like
see,
everybody else is around us too at this point.
we
all
can
the
see
other
everybody
moms.
as they kneel down, do the whole method for hiding or protecting yourself against tornadoes and stuff, the whole drill, the whole 9 yards. But we didn't have that opportunity. My wife just recently was cut open, and we had our baby.
I still hadn't even got out of the bed yet. I hadn't even walked or anything.
And we
so,
had our baby.
Yeah.
At the same time she was holding the
It
baby.
was
the
all
whole
three
time.
of us on the hospital bed, and it was like me, I was holding the baby, and then Jonathan was like holding both of us.
I was standing over them, and while she was holding the baby, she could see the nurse. And as I looked over, I could see the people scared to death. And I look over at the nurse, and I could just see her just forcefully holding that door shut with all her might while it was just opening. She was just pounding it shut like she was slamming the door, but it was the force of that wind pulling it open, and her fucking trying to just hold the door closed. And just to give us that enough time for the wind not to pick up a lot, for it to, I'm assuming, suck us out.
Yeah.
We still haven't, we should have got her name. I think we did at one point. But,
I can't remember it, but she was literally the best.
so at that point, the nurse gave up. And she couldn't hold the door any longer, and she moved away from it. And at that point, I think the tornado just got onto us. We were like in the middle, right before the eye. Like we could feel the force of the tornado.
Yeah, the power went out, and we could feel things. Like,
Everything was falling
around.
on us.
I remember getting whacked in the head like a couple of times.
Some
by
stuff was hitting
things.
us, but
I don't know
it
what
felt like
was.
it felt like styrofoam. But I bet.
Yeah, it didn't hurt when whatever it was hitting us. It didn't hurt. Like I knew I had got hit, but I don't ever remember like, oh my god, that hurt so bad.
Right. So as the tornado was going, the lightning, it was frightful. I feel like all the oxygen got sucked out of the air.
Yeah.
It was hard to breathe. Your ears were just numb. It just kept popping. There was a point where Rosa had to pull me down because I was looking as the nurse moved away from the door. Like, see, this all transpired in what, like 3 minutes? The tornado was over us in total.
Yeah.
But it felt like forever. So
yeah, there were so many things like going on. Like time was so slow, and I think the tornado, like you said, was over us for like 3 minutes. But I swear to God, it felt like an hour that we were just stuck there.
Right, and then I remember my wife pulling me down, and at that point, I was screaming. I was screaming to God. at him.
To just make it stop.
Making it stop, asking him why he's doing this on this day. Why are you doing this?
Over and over and over again.
That's all I could say. That's all I could say. And the fact that the bed never budged astonishes me.
It's crazy. Crazy.
And the fact that I was wearing Nike Cortezes, bro. I was wearing Nike Cortezes that her mom bought me for tax season. And tax season is so stupid. I was wearing those shoes. It was wet. The wind was hitting us so fucking hard.
Yeah, you could feel the rain. You could feel the water.
You can just feel like, it felt like sand hitting us.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't imagine being in a sandstorm. I've never been in a sandstorm, but seeing it and feeling like what it would feel like, exactly what that felt like. If, like, seeing it as like a sandstorm, but it was debris and rain and some other shit hitting us, probably needles, syringes. We was in a hospital. Anything could happen, but
yeah,
it's hard to explain.
Yeah.
So hard to explain that we didn't get sucked out. I remember at one point looking up before the eye. The eye was so scary.
Yeah.
That was the worst part because that's when we could see stuff. And
yeah, because it was like bright, like it was fine, like the eye of the tornado came and like everything that was in the sky, everything that was flying around the hospital just dropped. It was just like it hadn't
you
happened.
can hear everybody crying, murmuring.
Yeah, it was silent. You couldn't hear anything other than the people around you. And at that point, the nurse came over and grabbed
The baby
and took the baby into like a nearby operating room.
Yeah.
And then once
where they had all the other kids at, all the other babies
all
at.
the other babies,
they didn't
yeah.
have time to take our baby.
And she came back and like the wind started to pick up again. You could hear it.
You can hear it just coming back. I thought it was over at first, but then in
yeah,
my mind,
I
I just
done
knew.
Too.
I just knew it. This is the eye. This is what the eye feels like.
Yeah.
And it felt like you can breathe, but it felt so like you're constricted on breathing. It was hard to breathe, but then again, you can breathe.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, I don't know, it was the debris in the air or the type of oxygen that was being sucked out or released into the eye. I don't fucking know. I'm not a scientist, but what we experienced was definitely the eye, and that eye lasted what felt like
5 minutes.
it was a relief.
Yeah.
We thought it was over with. We thought it was done.
But it wasn't.
It wasn't at all.